Today I'm going to show you a comprehensive plan for a couple we will call Jane and John Doe, trying to decide if they have enough to retire. Hey everybody, I'm Justin Ancona with Legacy Wealth Advisors, and our goal is to guide and educate families to steward their legacy for generations. Now let's get right into it. All right, so we're walking through a comprehensive plan. We're looking at, you see we've got John and Jane here. Both are 55 years old, we're assuming, and they're currently employed, but they're looking to retire this year. So we'll continue to move along here to the goals that we have for them. So we've got John retiring at age 55 and same for Jane. And you see we have them living into their early to mid 90s. So we're planning out until age 92, 94. We need the money to last for 40 years in retirement. Let's take a look at the goals that they have during this period. So we're looking at a spending budget of $100,000 while they're both in retirement. We've also added in a healthcare goal because before they reach age 65, they're going to need money for medical expenses, for healthcare expenses during this gap before they reach age 65. So we're planning on $26,000 per year for healthcare expenses during this period. Once they're both on Medicare, we expect it to be more in the range of maybe $10,000 per year for both of them. If we move along here, we'll see what's funding those the goals that we have. We're assuming for them Social Security $41,008 per year for both of them at 67. So this is just looking at their past income history. We put in that they had $100,000 per year, and so that's what this is looking at. For a lot of people, you won't have the same amount for both spouses, but just for planning purposes, we're assuming for this couple, we've got the same amount that they're both receiving. So that's the Social Security. If we look at this next portion here, we've got, they don't have any pension or other retirement income, but they do have investment assets. So this couple has $2 million in investment assets. They've got $500,000 each in an IRA. They've got $250,000 John does in his Roth IRA, and then they've got a brokerage or a trust account that's got $750,000. So in total, $2 million that they have put aside into the investments. And if we come down here, we'll see that the other assets that they have, they've got a home that's valued at $500,000. And keep in mind, we don't look at the home as funding retirement. We have this marked as not intending to sell it to fund their goals because they have to live somewhere. And so unless it's an additional property aside from the home, typically we're not looking at that to fund their retirement. So when we look at the big picture, net worth is at 2.5 million. Now we get into the fun part where we're going to look at what is the outcome. So this is just the net worth, looking at everything in here. They don't have a mortgage. And so we're looking at this next page here, which shows, based on, they have a 40-year retirement period. So we want to know what is their chance of success. And when we look at this, we see that it's not good. They're in that 29% below confidence zone. So what we want to do is we want to see what different levers or things we can do to increase the probability of them, having money into their 90s, and making sure we don't want them to outlive their money. We want their money to outlive them. So I'm going to create another scenario here. We'll duplicate the current one, but we'll make changes to it. So this is loading up this, and we'll say, based on what we're looking at, the probability of success is low. So let's see what it looks like if John continues to work until age, let's say 62. So we'll make that update here and see how that impacts the plan. And then there's other adjustments we can make to see how we can increase that probability of success. Because you might say, hey, I'm done working here. We got to find another way. So first glance, we see that really bumps up the probability of success, we're in the green zone, which we call the confidence zone, in the 83% success, which I'll get into in a little bit, but basically means if we have average markets, they'll have money left over. They'll likely have money left over at the end of their plan. And when you start to get into below average markets, in worst case scenario, there may be the probability of success is not as high. But just coming down here, if we look to see what other ways can we make adjustments to see how it impacts the plan. So right now we see they've got Social Security that's coming in for both of them, and it's coming in at just over 40,000 per year. So I want to take a look at if they were to bump back or delay Social Security, because each year that you delay past 67, you get an 8% increase per year. And so we see that did bump up from an 86 to, or sorry, an 83 to an 86. And we'll see their benefit here bumped up from 41,000 up to 50,000. So a substantial increase. And I think the reason we're seeing this move up in percent of success is because for Social Security, you reach a tipping point. Once you get past a certain age, it becomes beneficial to have delayed. And so if they end up living till they're 90, 93, 95, mid to late 90s, it tends to be beneficial to delay that Social Security benefit. A couple other things I want to see is if we, let's say John here decides he doesn't want to work until 62, but he'll work until 60. And while he works until 60, he'll look to be aggressive with what he's putting away or what he's saving. So let's first update this to show at 60, we're down in that 77% success. And I want to look at if John were to do extra saving for those 5 years from age 55 to age 60. So we're going to say John's putting money away into his 401k, and aggressively he's going to put away 20,000 per year for those 5 years. Now let's calculate. We're in this 77% success. Let's see what this looks like here when we add this additional saving over those years. So it bumps it up a little bit. Now you can see how there's different things, different levers we can move to impact the big picture. But I want to take a look at what this looks like in terms of withdrawals in retirement. So if we were to stick with this, we say, John, sorry, you have to work an extra 5 years and save during that time. We want to see what that looks like come first year in retirement. So going in here, and I'm going to show you our retirement framework on what this looks like for not only the first year, but all throughout retirement. And so you'll see here, we've got in that first year, we've got an inflated need of 151,000 that we're saying that's the after-tax amount that they need each year. And we've got no money coming in because you don't have Social Security that's kicked in yet. And then we estimate taxes of 25,377. When we add these two, this is the amount that needs to come out of the portfolio, 176,000, or just over 6.8%, which that's on the high range for what we want to be doing over the long term. Now, what I like to see is this chart down here. We can see that during the time that John and Jane, before they reach Social Security, they're having a higher withdrawal rate. It's in this high 6, low 7, and then we see a drop substantially down to below 2%, and then slightly above 2% for the remainder of their retirement once they're on Social Security. So they pretty much have a period here of 10 years from age 60 to 70 where those withdrawals are higher. But on average, their withdrawal rate is 4.45%. So we're getting to be more in a sustainable long-term average withdrawal rate to be taking from the portfolio. Now, one other thing I want to share here. So this is showing, we're in that confidence zone. We're in the 80% success. We'd like to shoot to be in the 90+%. But when we're in this 80% success, when we're looking at different types of markets, we're showing that if we look at an average market, so this will be looking here at a 4.65% return between between the time they retire, which would be now, until the end of the plan. And actually, we've got John retiring not now, but in 5 years. And we're showing if we get a 4.6% average return, they'd be left with 1.4 million at the end of their plan. So they still have money left over. Now, we want to look at what if we even have lower returns, maybe 4.28% during this time period. They'd still have money. They still have money left over. We're starting to spend down the portfolio. We're maybe left with 411,000 at that time. And when we look at, this is really where, if you're in the 99% or 90+% success rate, we're looking at kind of worst case markets. So this would be Great Depression like markets where we have, maybe a 1% return, but this is even looking for a long period of time. And we're showing that in a case like this, the money could go to zero if we have, a period of time in these first several years of retirement, especially some big down years here where there's really poor performance. We could see the money, getting spent down, and particularly for John and Jane, because they're in those first 10 years of retirement, that's when they're spending a majority of their nest egg. And so, we see that impacting them for the long term. And if they spend most of it down early on, now they're more so depending on Social Security for the remainder of their retirement.
So as you can see, this is a sample case study of a couple looking to retire. Based on the assumptions, they would not be wise to fully retire at age 55, even though they have built up a nice nest egg of $2 million and have zero debt. It is important to plan ahead as you are approaching retirement so that you can make informed decisions on any changes that need to be made. As always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for our next video.